To escape the monotony of sea voyages, some white men forced the Africans to play their tribal music on the deck. A white sailor danced closer to a stunned woman. Before she could understand what was happening, one of the white men grabbed her tightly by the arms. He was clearly about to violate her. Other black slaves on the deck saw this sickening act. They clenched their teeth in fury, but they couldn't do anything. Soon, the woman was dragged like an animal with iron chains into the ship's hold. Just as the man drowned in lust, the woman suddenly pulled out a sharp tool and slashed his throat viciously. Her eyes were burning with rage and vengeance. Ah, ah, ah. His screams echoed across the ocean waves. At that very moment, Amina handed a key to a small boy. They had already planned a revolt against the white men. The abused woman stepped out of the cabin, armed and calm. Outside, the white sailors were still singing and dancing, completely unaware of the storm that was about to hit them. The man playing the drums understood the woman's signal and gripped his knife tightly. He danced closer and closer, luring the white men toward him. Meanwhile, the other slaves quietly began unlocking their shackles. Everything looked calm on the outside, but as the drum beat intensified, they attacked. "Amitabh!" someone screamed. White guards rushed to the deck and opened fire blindly. The slave rebellion failed. 2 main rebels were tied to a post and shot dead, their bodies thrown into the sea as a warning to others. After 10 long weeks at sea, the remaining slaves finally arrived on the shores of South Carolina. Children along the docks threw garbage at them. White women in the city watched them with disgust in their eyes. They were taken to an underground cellar where the auction was to be held the next day. It was cold and damp. Everyone sat naked, shivering and pressed against each other. Amina and the little boy clung to one another for warmth and comfort. Later, some white men brought stale leftover food. The crowd jumped on it like animals. The boy managed to get a small portion and offered it to Amina. But the cold was so unbearable, Amina began to hallucinate. "My lips, they're on fire. There's smoke." "No, there's no fire, but smoke really is coming out of your mouth." The poor girl drifted into her delusions, and just then, as if God heard their pain, a soft ray of light fell upon the 2 children. The next day, the slaves were rubbed with pig fat to make them look healthier and fetch a higher price. Amina's friend was the first to be auctioned. The bidding started at just £7 and ended at 8. Then it was Amina's turn. She stood on the platform, the trafficker praising her, but her skinny body looked too weak compared to the other slaves. A cable farm owner bid only £5. It was insulting. She was pulled off the stage and examined up close by the same man. His evil intentions were obvious in his eyes. Amina and a few others were taken to that farm. From hunger, cold, and exhaustion, Amina collapsed. Thankfully, she was cared for by a kind old maid who had no children of her own, but treated Amina like her daughter. Amina spent 8 long years there. One day, she grew into a beautiful young woman, exactly what the farm owner had been waiting for. His lust had been part of the price all along. But that very night, the old maid gave Amina a piece of news. That boy, her dear friend, had come searching for her and was nearby. Amina ran through the forest, heart pounding. After 8 long years, they reunited. They embraced each other tightly. The boy gave her a colorful scarf and gently tied it around her head. Their time was short, but that night was the most precious of Amina's life. The next day, disaster struck. The owner had learned that a black man had come to meet Amina. He immediately summoned her. Everyone knew what was coming. Terrified, Amina entered the master's room. He didn't say a word. He just started touching her. Amina was filled with disgust and rage, but she stayed silent just to stay alive. She lay there afterward, like a broken doll. One of the slaves tried to help, but everyone knew this was normal in those days. The maid gave Amina some herbal medicines to help cleanse her body. After that, Amina threw herself into reading and learning. She had made up her mind. Education was her only way out of this hell. Sometime later, they met again in the forest. This time, in front of all the slaves, they were married. Everyone danced and sang, as if they lived in a free world. A few months later, Amina was pregnant. When the master found out, he went into a rage. He cut her hair off in front of everyone to shame her. "Even the child in your belly belongs to me now." His words pierced like daggers. 2 months passed. One night, Amina's screams echoed through the fields, and she gave birth to a black-brown baby. If you were touched by this true and emotional story, please like, comment freedom below, and don't forget to subscribe. Because in the next part, a mother, a lover, and a slave will pay the ultimate price for freedom.